All right, guys, we're live.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to Practice What You Doula workshop. My name is Yolanda Walker, and it's always a pleasure being here with you. We're so glad you can join us. This series is hosted by National Black Doula Association to equip and empower our members and community with valuable resources and education that support your work and your lives. We want you to feel comfortable like you're in a community space. And so we encourage you to come on camera if you're able. And throughout the sessions, if you have any questions, you can always feel free to put them in the chat or you can come off mute for Q&A. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce our speaker and facilitator, Danae. Hey, D.
Hey, Amanda.
Today, she will be talking about managing work while raising your children and your family. Um, I want you to give me a moment because I'm looking for your bio. I thought I had it, but
We don't,
I don't.
we don't have to get. I love for like we'll do a quick version, right?
We'll do a quick version, but I found this. See, I'll be prepared. I'll be
Okay.
prepared. Okay, sorry about that.
No.
All right, so first, I just want to give my little spiel about Danae. Like, I've known Danae for what 4 or 5 years now,
Yes.
and we were in a cohort together with the CEO Brandy for becoming a doula. And Danae has been my good friend. She's absolutely amazing, baby. This child has, when I say, been doing her thing. She has been doing her thing and she's been successful in what she do. So she knows what she's talking about. She's not just, telling you and she doesn't know. So that's my smell about Danae. She's like the kindest person, the kindest heart. So I just wanted to throw that in before I got like official with you.
Because we will have a love fest because I love
Yes,
you down right
I
back.
love you so much. Like the love is real. The love goes hard over here. So
Yes.
but let me get your official
Okay.
bio. So we want to put that information out there. Danae is the proud owner of My Sweet Cadence Doula Services. She serves families in Cleveland, Ohio area. She's was inspired to become a doula during pregnancy, loss, and birth. She found her calling in birth work as a way to empower and uplift others. She is a certified birth and postpartum doula, and she's also a skilled placenta encapsulator, providing compassionate and personalized care to every family she supports, with a mission to educate. I'm sorry,
That's okay.
I messed that up. With a mission to educate and empower. There you go. Danae walks alongside family through their pregnancy journey, offering guidance and support and advocacy. As a passionate trainer and mentor, she is committed to equipping aspiring doulas with the knowledge and skills they need to create meaningful change in the birth community, fostering empowerment and equity in maternal care. See, I told you she was amazing. Like, I'm not just saying that just to be saying that. She is absolutely amazing. And so we want to give her her props. We want to give her her due and her honor. And we'll turn it over to Danae. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yolanda.
You're
I'm
welcome.
so happy to be here with you this morning. Always makes me feel comfortable and loves on me. So I'm excited to be here and have this conversation. Please feel free to put your comments in the chat. We will have a Q&A session, but if there are some comments, of course, we can address those as well. So this morning we are talking about managing work while raising kids from a doula perspective. And so as doulas, we give so much to families and to our families. But in this moment, we just want to hold space for ourselves as workers, as parents, just as whole people. And so we'll kind of walk through it. I kind of did a little outline, but I just want to make sure that like we're holding space for each other. And this is not about perfection. This is just about perseverance and showing up and our presence in our family life. And so it's just really about sustainability and support, which the NBDA is big on, and that's why I love being a part of this organization. And so as doulas, we have some unique struggles when it comes to work and family. I think the biggest one is that on call lifestyle, the unpredictable schedules, the missed family moments, and that constant readiness depending on, if we are on call or not. And then I think also another big one is emotional labor. We give so deeply to our clients, but then also while having kids, we need to be and we want to be present for our kids. And so there is a big emotional labor that goes on when you are a doula. And so those are some things that we will kind of try to talk about and address. And then I would say blurring boundaries. That was my other. So those are my big three. Sometimes we get caught up taking calls while we're at the football games and the soccer games. Sometimes we have postpartum visits that might overlap with family obligations. We might still be on call at the hospital on our baby's first day of school. And so those are the three things that I want to address, but then also just normalizing that, we can't show up for others if we're depleted ourselves. And so those are some of the things that we will touch on today. And so I think we're good. So I will continue. So the first thing I want to talk about is redefining balance. And balance doesn't always mean, like a 50-50 split. Seasons shift, seasons change, and it can really even change birth to birth. And so I like to think of it in terms of a rhythm versus like perfection. And my business name is My Sweet Cadence Doula Services. And so with everything I do with my families, I always rhythm is an overlapping theme within my business because of the meaning of cadence. And so I like to think of it like that. It's a rhythm, it's not a perfection. It's not going to always be 50-50. Sometimes we have to ebb and flow one way versus the other. And then just talking from personal experience, when we talk about the rhythm, I try to create family routines or rituals that kind of anchor my household. We have the bedtime stories for my family. Sunday brunch is a big thing, and in the mornings while the kids are getting ready for school, we try to do those affirmations, just so that I know my kids, they do thrive off of routine. And so as much as I can give that to them, I definitely try. And then, when it's time to shift, then we shift. And that came with, so my kids are 12, 9, and 7. And so we've had some shifts over the years of how we manage, what mommy does. And so it started with just the communication clearly with my family. So when we talk about on call boundaries and the systems that we put in place for our families, first things first was I just had to communicate with my family. This is what on call means. When mommy's on call, we're not going to be able to take the vacation out of town, but we can set up things that we can do, around town. And so in our house, we have a big family calendar that holds all the dates. And I will put on there, on call starts, so that everybody knows that we'll still be doing stuff around town, but we keep stuff local. And on the weekend, sometimes I just try to keep it chill. If I know that, like, look, I might have to be pulling an all night at the hospital, I'm gonna reserve, my energy, or I'm gonna find things for my kids to do. Sometimes it's just visiting a friend, but whatever we do, we try to keep it local and low key. And so that came with, again, educating my family on what on call means and getting their buy-in to be a part of this lifestyle. And I feel like as we talk today, your family really does have to buy into this lifestyle with you, have to agree to go on this journey with you. And I've seen, my kids kind of grow beautifully in this. And if you ask them, they have 10 or 15 cousins, and probably more, but they have a lot of my doula babies become their little cousins, and we're showing up at birthday parties, and they have really embraced it, and that has been a blessing for me to see. And so other practical supports when you're managing doula work with a family would be those backup doula partnerships. Have that doula that you trust, that if it is just something that you can't get out of for your family, you still have a backup doula to call in and support your client, which is important. Childcare plans, those are very important. I know my mentor, who my mentor was the Brandy Bishop, and very early she told me, when planning out packages, if you have to pay for childcare, that's stuff that needs to be in your package, because you can't shortchange yourself or your family. And obviously, if you're somewhere supporting somebody in birth, the last thing you want to worry about is where your kids are, and are they okay. And so whatever that quality care looks like for you, that needs to be thought about in totality when you are building out your birth plans, and how your doula work will go. My kids used to have something called go bags. When I knew that it might be my husband at work and I would need to shift, again, I was very blessed and am very blessed, and I have a village, and I would sometimes have to let, like, my aunt know, like, I'm on call, and it's very likely I'm going to need to drop the kids off. It might be at 2 in the morning. um, and so my kids were always excited to pack their go bags as I packed my, or refreshed my doula bag. And so everybody's go bag stood near my doula bag, in case, when I got that call, I needed to shuffle them out the house and get them to their aunt, whom they loved and had a relationship with, or their grandma. And so that was something unique that my family did, was our go bags, and that definitely kept it like it was a group effort, and made my kids feel included in what I did. Um, I would say, sometimes with technology too. So when we talk about phones, I know in the beginning it's not practical to have, two lines. Sometimes you can get that Google number where you have two numbers to just separate, client phone calls and client emails from your day to day family life, if at all possible, so that it's a little easier to silence, the calls when you're not, quote unquote, on call, and you need to focus in at the basketball game or the football game, and maybe a client has a question that can wait. So that goes back to that boundary, scripts for saying no when capacity is maxed. And that might be, for clients and for your kids. Again, we give a lot as doulas, and we want to create that safe space for clients, and we want to be there, and we want to reassure them and make sure that they are, emotionally, um, uh, they're not stressed. And so you might get a call, or like, hey, I just left the doctor and this happened, or I had a question about this, or was thinking about this. And it might be time for your baby's, football game. And so that's where that learning how to skillfully say no, or not right now. If you're not one of those people who are like, I will address that, text message when I can. If you just want to say something to acknowledge, your client, it's learning those skillful no's. But I also do want to go on record as saying no is a complete sentence. And so if you are maxed out at capacity, and you need, a moment in your day-to-day life, again, this is where the more you communicate with your family and with your village, the less talking you have to do when it's like, I'm spent right now. I need 5-10 minutes. Because we won't even talk about, well, we will talk about, what kind of like micro self-care is after birth. But as far as those on-call boundaries, those are some things that I did, like with my kids, is just explaining. Their go bags were huge in our house. I just really tried to, and I still try to integrate my kids into my doula lifestyle. And so for kids, seeing their parents be so passionate about stuff is inspiring. I've seen my kids over the years, and they'll tell me, how they went to school, and my mom is a doula and she does this. And, now my daughter is like, when I get older, I'm going to take over your doula business. And I love that. Even if that's not where she ends up, I love that at 7 years old, she's feeling inspired by seeing her mom do something that I'm so passionate about. And so, again, my kids range in different ages. So I always try to explain it to them age appropriate, right? Obviously, my conversations with my 12-year-old looks a little different than my conversations with my 7-year-old, but I definitely like to get them involved. Outside of their go bags, when I refresh my bag, when I'm cleaning stuff out, I let them help. I let them help me prep, meals for the week. If I'm on call, I try to do a little meal prep. I've even let them help prepare, postpartum meals for families, just to let them see, and also to see sometimes how we just show up for others and what compassion and care looks like. Because a big part of our job is compassion and it's care. And so I just try to model that compassion in my home. I try to model advocacy in my home because I want my kids to be those type of adults. And so I love how a lot of doula principles can mirror being good human beings in our home. And so I know I'm moving kind of fast. Again, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I never really know how fast or slow to go when I'm talking to y'all, but like y'all ain't talking back, but y'all are listening. But again, if I need to slow down, if you want to stop and unpack something, definitely let me know. But when I mentioned earlier about self-care, and I want to talk about, I guess we can start talking about micro self care. And so that's just those like little 5 or 10 minute routines that you do maybe before, you go to a birth. Maybe it's that hot shower just to clear your mind. Maybe it's a couple songs that you play, to get yourself ready. And even in those things, my kids will be like, "Oh, I know mommy must be getting ready to prepare for a birth." Or if they see, if they hear the music and the bathroom doors close, and I've already told them I'm on call, I've had my kids like, "It's go time," like, and I see the excitement in their eyes. And so um, it sets the family up to know, like, yes, this is where we're transitioning, in this moment, but it's also self-care for me. And I just want to encourage you guys to, make sure that you are including some micro self-care and some, bigger things that you do for self-care. But for sure, those little things as you're preparing for the moment. Maybe it is, taking a minute, a couple minutes, and spending time with each child, speaking life into them, giving them a hug if it's bedtime, helping them with that bedtime story before you run off to birth. A lot of births are not set up where we have to jet out the door. We have a couple, minutes, hours to prepare our families, to prepare ourselves. And so just thinking about what you do in those moments. Now, on a bigger scale, I I try to get a massage after every after every birth. That's my self-care for me on a bigger scale, but on a smaller scale, those are some things that I like to do. I do see one question. Can you share a time when you had to say no in order to protect your peace and your family time? Um, yes, sometimes it's just I've had to say no. I would say a lot more so with like postpartum care, and I want to make sure I'm careful because I always want to make sure that I handle my clients with care and concern. And again, that's how you frame the no. And sometimes there were times where I'm like, you don't really need you need to trust your instincts, I would say. So that's kind of how I phrase that no, of like, what are your instincts saying? Because sometimes you have clients who can become so reliant on you that they don't um trust themselves, and you want to encourage them and empower them to entrust themselves. I've had some times where I've said no. um if it's like, I've had some partners call outside of the realm of care. It's like, okay, is mom good, is baby good? If you need to vent to somebody, it can't be me. And so that's probably been like some of my harsher no's of like, you need to find your support system in this moment. um but I've fulfilled my contractual duties. How can doulas model healthy work-life balance for the families that they serve? I mean, I think again, in doing that, I keep conversation open with my clients, with the families that I serve. And so they get kind of like Kind of a front row seat, a firsthand look of how I try to raise my kids and how my family comes alongside of me on this journey. And so I just say lead by example of how you can model the healthy work life balance for the families that you serve as well. You know, and letting them know like that you have kids too and that you're human too. And so I know this is totally maybe left field, but it's not. But it's also why when I work with my mentees, I'm very particular on how your contract is set up because as doulas, we move so much off of emotion, we move so much off of compassion and advocacy and care. But I want to make sure boundaries are clear, and that starts with that contract. And so I'm very, I try to make my mentees and I'm very clear in the contracts of what the scope is. And so if it falls out of that scope, you have a safer place to say, you know, I'm not going to be able to do that for you right now. Um, how do I reset and recharge after demanding birth or postpartum support? So again, my family, we've been in this for years, and as much as we can, when I come home from a birth, um, I try to take some time. I might not pick the kids up right away if they went to my aunt's house. I'm gonna come home and take a shower and take a nap. I'm gonna, you know, schedule that massage that again, I've worked that price into my birthing packages. So I'm gonna go schedule that massage for the when the kids are at school, I'm gonna go get that, you know, massage in. For me, I like to go to the gym. I know that might sound crazy to some, but working off those emotions and that stress and the tension in the body or you know doing a fun cardio class, those are the things that I like to do. um
D, I have a question.
yeah,
So like when I do a birth and it's like crazy, I'm still like on this high. Like I'm on this adrenaline after coming from the birth and I can't come down yet. Like
gotcha. Yeah,
right?
okay.
I can't come down yet. Like eventually I will come down. It's just not yet.
Yeah.
When you first started out, did you immediately have like boundaries, what peaceful perimeters in place? Like how what made you start
Oh.
putting these perimeters in place for yourself and your
uh
family?
Live work experience made me start. Yeah, again, like I feel like when we start out, we're like, I want to help everybody and I'm gonna be all things to all people. And then you get in these birth rooms and you're like, oh no, I have to like set some boundaries. Like
Yes.
I'm, you know, I'm here for like 24 hours and you didn't really need me and I didn't really need to be here. But because I didn't say no, I was like, it's fine, I'll come. Like,
Yeah.
no, now I'm like, when you're active or when, you know, like when there's some change, you learn over time to set the boundaries. And I think also, again, I started it with so much joy. And some of those situations, I was just like, man, this ain't worth it. I had to just restructure and reset because otherwise there's no sustainability. And again, another topic for another day, doulas burn out really quickly. And
Yeah.
so that's why I was like, okay, I've got to set parameters. And also, these kids are my responsibility. Like they're my
Mhm.
first responsibility. So as much as I want to support everybody else, if they ain't good, I'm not going to be able to do this. And so we got to restructure this in a way that works for our family. And I know families look completely different. And so that's why I encourage conversation. I encourage anybody to put in the chat strategies that you use to help manage your work life balance because it looks different for all of us.
Yeah, and I think it depends on where you are in your family life. If your children are younger, that older, or even like teenage and things
Mhm.
like that, it definitely depends on that. We had a comment, Ivana, I think that's how you pronounce it. She says, I'm not even there yet, but this is something that she's interested in. She wants to know where you located because it came up on her feed.
Yeah. Hi, Ivana. I am located in Cleveland, Ohio. However, should you train, I don't know where you are in your journey, but should you decide to train with MBDA, certified with MBDA, I'm also one of our mentors, and mentorship can be done virtually.
Okay.
And mentorship is something that you have to have in order to become a certified doula. So even if you're not in the Cleveland area, should you train and you want to and you need your mentor, I'm also listed on the mentor page. And I did want to say something else too to that point, Yolanda, about your kids in different stages. There was a moment where it was like, I'm only going to do postpartum because I need a little bit more scheduled time. You know, when
Structure, yeah.
my
Mm-hmm.
kids were really young and my baby was my, you know, I had three and the baby was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't just birth wasn't a reality in that moment. So I
Yeah.
had to pivot to just postpartum. And I work with a lot of mentees now where, you know, I just try to encourage them on that. If that's where we need to start, that's fine. Like let's build that out. And then when it's time and when your kids get a little older, when your village is in place, when everybody is clear on what a doula does. When I first started out being a doula, like I had to explain to my mama and my auntie and all of them, this is what a doula does because
Yeah.
nobody knew. But the more they learned, like now the whole family, I feel like, is invested in this doula work for real.
Yeah, I think teaching our family, our friends in our community what it is, sometimes like they've heard of maybe the term or even like the job description of what we do, but the term may be new to them.
Yeah,
Because my mom, she was a birth worker, and she would like help with midwifery and be help the midwife and things like that. But she was like, "What's a doula?" I'm like, "Pretty much the same thing you're doing, just
yeah.
one," you know. So yeah, she heard of it. Okay, Lanisi, I think I'm saying that right, and I apologize if I'm butchering your name. She says, I'm in school for bio pre med, entering MSc and
See,
CNM school
mhm.
in about a year. How can she get started with a doula and midwifery practice before then without certain certifications or credentials? I'm going to let you answer that because I have some thoughts about it, but I'll let you
Okay.
answer.
No, you feel free to chime in. I would say, you know, you can get started with being a doula. Just research the different, you know, doula organizations out there and see who's the best fit for you. You can definitely get started with that. As far as the midwifery practice, I feel like that is something that's more of a one-on-one conversation with local midwives in your area.
Mhm.
There are, you know, because uh, some midwives go the road of like doula to CPM, but you're going to be a CNM, which is great and fantastic. And so you might be able to shadow some midwives in your area. I would just talk to them. We have some doulas at MBDA who are also midwives. I
Yes.
would encourage you to look up Ashley. I think hers is Dandelion um, doula services. Dandelion somewhere in there, but Ashley has been a doula trainer for years. And she's a midwife, and so she would be able to answer those questions for you. And again, MBDA is such a community and a family. Don't hesitate to like reach out to the mentors and the trainers that you see. We also host a monthly call called Journey to Doula World, where we go into detail about the steps and how um, you know what you can do to become a doula if you're interested in becoming a doula, what the classes look like. Um, Again, and we know that there's multiple organizations that you can train and certify with, and so I'm going to always tell you to do your research and see who's the best fit for you. But we do hold those monthly calls. They're free. You just need to register to join. It's an open conversation. You'll hear from, you know, I traditionally host it, but you know other doulas have been stepping in to host it as well. So if not myself, Yolanda has hosted the call before too, where you can learn a little bit more about our journey, and it's set up for you to ask, you know, questions, you know, that you might have specific to your journey. And so I think a link went into the chat, so I would definitely encourage you to check that out as well.
Yeah.
Um, there is one thing I want to talk about before we go into Q&A,
No,
and
go ahead.
I want to just like reframe the guilt. Um, because I feel like a lot of doulas go through that phase, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself, where it was like I'm serving others, but not enough for my own kids. And so I just want to reassure you, like your kids are witnessing what resilience, what service, what passion looks like. And so I just wanted to uh, put that out there again, that success is presence. It's not perfection. Like, we are not striving for perfection. We are trying to be present. We're trying to raise good human beings. We're trying to raise productive human beings. We're trying to raise compassionate human beings, especially in, the climate that we look like. And so if you are somebody who does affirmations, something I always tell myself is, I can nurture other families and still nurture my own. Like, that's an affirmation that I, tell myself when I get a little overwhelmed with everything, and when I feel like I might be, letting a ball drop. But I do try to be very intentional about setting those boundaries, because those boundaries are for my kids and my family as well. And so that's why it's important, to have those boundaries as well. And just remembering that you're modeling that strength and that compassion. And so I just want to make sure I, got that out there, because I know that as doulas, we, there is a level of guilt when it seems like you might be missing the important family moments.
No, that is so true. I think that's something to highlight as well. Like, and it also brings me to this question, is that, like, what is it something you learned from just managing work and parenting at the same time? Is it something that you've learned, or like what's maybe like a key tip you can give somebody? Like, this is what I did in the beginning, because it's gonna be like some trial and error in the beginning. Is there any, mistakes that you've made in the past that that you
Uh,
learned
I feel like we kind of already said it, but it's definitely setting the boundaries. It's
from?
not being afraid to set those boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Um, sometimes you're timid and you don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, and you want to be every woman to
Yeah,
everybody. And we're just not, that's not sustainable. And so for me, it was two things. It was setting boundaries, and it might seem off topic, but charging my worth.
yeah,
It was getting hard to show up in these spaces when I knew I wasn't making what my worth. And
yeah.
so kind of aligning those two helped me settle into doula work.
That's good, actually. How did you determine, like, charging your worth?
Yeah.
Because, it's like, if you're new and things like that, I know it's like different prices, but as you get older and in the game, and you're doing this thing, you are mastering what you do. How did you determine that part of it as well?
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, different areas. So the baseline is you have to research
Mhm.
um, what doulas in your area are making, and more
Yeah.
specifically, what Black doulas in your area are making.
Yes.
We
Yes.
don't paid, the same as our white counterparts. And so
Mhm.
it started from there. And then I just set a rule that every 6 months or every 20 clients, my price was going up. My experience had changed. My, education had changed. What I bring to the table had changed. And so um, I have to, I have to honor myself and
Mhm.
the time and the um, funds and the education, like all that I put into it. And so between those two, I had to come up with a number, and I had to, sit and pray, like, is this good? Are you good with this? Like, you
Yeah.
are going to show up, and you might work 5 hours, but you might work 15 hours. And if you hit
Yeah.
that 15, is it still going to feel like you're valued? And I think that also
Really.
came with age too. Like, the
Yeah.
older I get, it's like, baby, this is the price.
Yeah, you get wiser about it. Like,
You
yeah,
know, like,
yeah,
very respectfully, this is my,
yeah, for
you know,
sure, for
yeah.
sure. No, I get that. You mentioned you do a lot of affirmations, not only for yourself, but with your children. Are there any other like daily practices that you do to feel grounded and balanced?
The gym.
Yeah, girl, I
Like, even
understand.
though, like, like, even after we get off this call, I'm going to the gym. Like, I have
Yeah,
a really good class that I love to take on Saturdays for cardio, and like, that's my self-care, and my
yeah,
family knows that. And so they respect that too now, right? Like, my
mhm,
husband's like, okay, I know that's what you have to do for you. So I got the kids over here today,
yeah.
if there's something going on. Of course, if there's a game, there are times when I have to miss, but the gym is like a daily self-care for me.
Very nice. I love that. So, my key takeaways was set your boundaries.
Yes.
Um, uh, self-care.
Give yourself grace.
Yes, give yourself grace.
And as since we're talking about families, you really have to communicate with your family, like bring
Mhm.
them in along the journey. That I think
Yeah,
that's probably a big thing, is bring them along this journey. I love that my kids are like, oh, my cousin so and so, and my cousin so and so.
yeah,
You know, Black folks ain't, that's just one of my doula clients, and
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's your
Baby,
cousin.
we all family.
We all family. And so, I love that. I love that my kids have embraced this. And in moments where, I might be feeling down, sometimes it's like I said, my daughter coming home and being like, I told them I'm going to take over your doula business when I grow up. Like,
Oh, I love that.
okay, let me keep going, girl, because I got
Right.
a family. Like,
No, I love that. That's good. Another question. Any recommendations or essentials for your go bag and your doula bag? I thought about that too, because you said you have them for your children too.
yeah, my
They
kids
got a go bag. You
bags.
have a doula bag. So
I,
any
yes.
essentials for those
Yeah.
bags?
So the go bag, I let them pick out, their toiletry kits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I let them pick out the pajamas that are gonna stay
Yeah.
in that bag, and I let them, take two items that is like particular to them. One of my sons is very big into movies and making
Yeah.
all those things, so he's got some electronic stuff. Where my daughter has like her dolls, but it is
Yeah.
those two items that go into, because these bags can't be so big because
Right.
we're going out the door. But I just let them have a lot of ownership in creating their go bag. And
Very good.
there is a picture of me with each, like each of them have a picture of us together in their bag,
Nice.
like
Very good.
saying,
What about your doula bag?
doula
What's
bag.
for
Oh,
that?
girl, we there's so
Listen.
many essentials for the doula bag. Hey, I'm gonna go. Of course, there are many tools that we use as doulas, but I'm gonna say your snacks. Like I have a snack bag and a change of clothes that stays in my doula bag, and so those
It's
are.
important because we gotta refood too.
And sometimes it's got to be quick, and it can't
Yeah.
smell because moms are sensitive to smells, and so
Mhm.
in the vein of like self care, and since we're talking about ourselves and not actually like the doula practice, I'm
Mhm.
gonna say your snack bag, your toiletry bag, and your change of clothes.
Very good. Very good. And how often are you refreshing these bags?
Um,
Because I know it's like a certain bag for maybe birth, and then there's a probably if you're doing postpartum, it's probably a
yeah,
different bag for that. And then the go bags. How often are you
yeah.
refreshing these bags?
So the postpartum bag is not as intense as the doula bag. The doula
Mhm.
bag, I try to refresh my snacks after every birth, my snacks and my teas. If I don't have to use my change of clothes, they just stay in that, Ziploc bag. Of course, I'm making sure that like my toiletry bag is, my deodorant's good, my mouthwash is good,
Mhm.
toothpaste is filled. My kids' go bag, again, when we get home, that's routine. Like
Yeah.
put it all, because we keep that stuff separate, we will put it all in the washing machine when we get there. We're good to go. If there's like a snack that they're like, I ate all this up and I want to make sure I have like, my snacks in this bag, I'll make sure that that's on the next grocery list. Lord willing, I get to the grocery store before the next birth, and then we just replenish the bags. But they stay separate. And again, when my kids see on call on the calendar, they also now know, like, or they did, let's check the bags. Is everything in order?
No, that's good. I love that.
Yeah.
I would ask this too, like when you first getting started, you're trying to get all the clients. You want to just fill up your schedule, do all the things. Because one, it's you're excited, it's zeal, and all these things are happening at the same time. What would you recommend for someone when starting out with their clients? Do you recommend like a certain amount of clients a month, or depending on birth or postpartum, or because you can go all in and just get overwhelmed, and that's another
Yeah.
way to burn out
Well, I
too.
recommend pace yourself. I recommend let's start with the one,
Yeah,
two at the most.
yeah,
See how that manages into your lifestyle, because you're right. There are some doulas who, their our sweet spot is two or three births a month. There are some doulas who is 4 or 5 a month, and
yes.
some who strive for more, but everybody's lifestyle is different. And
Mhm.
again, I know as doulas, we're like, I'm gonna save the world today. Like I'm gonna everybody pace yourself. Start with
Very
10.
good.
2 is my limit if you're starting out. Like, work those 2 in and see how it goes. Yeah.
Right, because you don't know until you know,
Yeah,
especially within the, family and children and things like that. Maybe if you're like by yourself, you may can get more because
yeah.
it's just you.
This is you.
But when you're dealing with family and your children and
Yeah,
community, it's like, yeah,
yeah,
you gotta do that.
yeah.
I You said earlier that you set time for like to replenish, like with your family, like quality time with your family.
Mhm.
How often do you do that? Because when you come home from a birth, you're wiped, so you're going to sleep, and
Yeah,
it's like it sounds like you're intentional about doing that. How often do you do
yeah.
that? Considering time, sometimes time is not a factor, especially with children's schedules. Your schedule. How did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, again, my we do a calendar for the month. So once
Hmm.
I step back and I can look at that calendar, at least one weekend we're gonna put a Sunday brunch or a Sunday dinner on the calendar because that
Hmm.
has just that's something that my kids love a good brunch. I don't know where they
Right?
come from, but they love a good brunch. Um,
Yeah,
that's what we do on Christmas now. We don't
I
even
love it.
dinner, like we eat brunch. And so after the family calendar is laid out for the month and everybody's schedules have been considered, then there is at least one Sunday brunch that we put on the calendar.
That is very good. And I want to emphasize too, like your quality time doesn't have to be like huge and big and expensive. It
Yeah.
can be going to get ice cream cone or getting,
Yeah.
watching this is a movie
So
day.
true. That's
Um,
yeah. Sometimes it's movie nights. My kids are like,
yeah,
this came out. Can we watch it? Okay, we can pop some.
yes. We can
That's
make our
so
own
true.
popcorn and do like I want to emphasize that because we get in the
Yeah,
guilt trip like I haven't spent time with my children and we want to go to all these different things and do these different things and it's like
yeah,
no, really those small moments really do help.
100%.
And yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. And no way am I saying you gotta go break the bank because you got guilt and you got no, they just want your time. They just
Yeah,
want to tell you about what's going on. And
yeah.
if it's a brunch,
Very
it's a movie. Yeah. I
good. Yeah,
love that.
very good. I love that. Well, thank you so much,
Yeah,
Danae,
thank
for
you.
everything. Like this was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
You always bring the goods, honey. You
No,
always
thank you. And I love when I'm like, I'm working with Yolanda. Yeah. Yeah.
baby, we got that thing. We got that thing. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank
you. I
you.
want to make time. Is there any announcements that I need to um highlight for next month? I know we October is always busy. We're wrapping up, for the year. We're in the last month of the year. So let me mention a couple things. We have a master class on October 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern time with Adrian Blackmore on the importance of mentorship for doula. It will be live on IG and on YouTube. Plus, we have Practice What You Doula on October 25th with our CEO, and with Brandy, I'm sorry, on Doula Basics, on Business Basics, with the National Black Doula Association. So I wanted to highlight those two events to make sure you guys know you can always reach out to helloblackdoula.org. Did I say that right? Was that the
Yeah.
right?
Hello,
uh,
blackdoulas.org.
Yeah, I think
Hello
that's right.
at blackdoulas.
There we go. Hello at blackdoulas.org. I'm like, I think that's right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Have an amazing Saturday. It's always a pleasure, Danae. I
Yeah.
look forward to talking to you soon. You
Same.
can also reach out at Danae at my sweet cadence underscore doula. We want to make sure we plug you, honey.
Thank
Um, you're welcome. Have a great day, everyone. We'll talk soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.